Good afternoon, Ananya.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Pass your test with your classmates.
Good afternoon, sir. Happy Teachers' Day.
Thank you.
Happy Teachers Day.
Thank you. Wait for another minute and we will start. Ananya, Jaspreet, John, Ravi, and Arnav. Okay, so let us start discuss the Tanvi
Sir,
pattern.
sir, yesterday you sent a worksheet. I have completed it.
Yeah, complete. You can show me during your physical classes. Okay, so right now I cannot.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Sir,
today
I did one of the writing tasks.
one, right? Okay, then so today I want to show you uh, one actual student work, Anaga. Okay. Actual student work, and can you see the screen which I'm projecting right now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So this one is one of the uh, students' works and submitted for the Cambridge for assessment. The same thing I'm just sharing with you. You can also access this document after the end of this class. I'm going to share at the Teams. You can use it that document. Okay. Now, the document is basically we need to look at the parameters, how the examiner is going to evaluate your descriptive writing. Okay. So the descriptive writing here, this is a high grade and the student scored something high. And even we have other range of scoring. Let me show that one first, and after that we will come to high. Okay, this is a middle range. The student scored middle range. Descriptive writing. Questions might be they differ, but the methodology we need to consider. So please tell me, can you recap what we learned about the descriptive writing requirement? Can you tell me what is the requirement for the descriptive writing? Just
Yes,
recap.
sir.
Tell me then.
Sir, we need imaginary features,
Okay, imaginary
weak,
features.
weak or strong adjectives,
Okay, so adjectives. Then
variety of sentences,
variety of sentences, adjectives,
similes and metaphors,
similes and metaphors.
sound effects,
Yes, sound effects.
transitional words,
Yeah, transitional words. These are the
layout,
layout of your descriptive writing. Yeah, with a title. Yeah.
a title, the introduction or the thesis statement,
Yes.
and
Body.
the body para one, which has at least one sensory
Sensory.
element,
Exactly.
and the other body paras.
Okay. So this
Body
is a
para.
yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Now, these are the basic requirements we are talking about, right? Even we need to develop, depends upon that. I told you, hope you remember that descriptive writing, it may be describing a place or a situation or a person or something like that. This question stating about that if you look at the question carefully, write a descriptive of a place you would like to go back to. So this is a description about a place. So description about a place means definitely we need to talk about that, something about ambience of the place, setting like place and time, and how it look like. You already said that you need to create some sort of imagery, right? So that imagery should be linked up to your description about a place. Let us see the sample, how this examiner given the comments for this sample, and even I may ask you to look into the details, the how we are going to consider this exercise for when you are practicing writing the descriptor. Okay, so just I may ask you to read for us, and you can look at that. Okay, yeah. So I may call the person to read just for understanding. Okay, instead of uh, here. Can I ask the Vihan? Vihan?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you see the screen now?
Yes, sir, I can.
Yeah, please read the first paragraph. This is about the descriptive writing, right? So please
Yes.
read the first paragraph. Please listen, and the person is reading, then we need to pay attention. Yes, please read.
The sun was rising up the mountains, rising behind the fluffy mined clouds, shining brightly as it spilled into the valley. A little,
It was like a little shadowed.
a little shadowed. It was like a moving watercolor. The light
Yeah.
reached the river. For a moment, it was a living expanse of water and rippling mirror should
Sorry.
shimmering pink
And
and
gold.
pink and gold.
Yeah.
The, the cold
Misty night.
the cold misty night seemed to
Mitigate.
mitigate as the brilliant blue sky mellowed a blood orange. The salty sea breeze spraying onto the light brown boardwalk.
Now you tell me, what is this paragraph stating about? What is this paragraph? Without looking at the comment, okay? Just you have to look at that, what you understand from this paragraph. Okay? So I thought yeah, tell me, Viha.
So I think this first paragraph is like describing the setting, like where the place is.
Hmm.
Like the clouds, the mountains, the boardwalk. It was describing like where it was.
So they also use that some of the words like this, right? Rising up mountains, right? And
Yes.
even the spilled into the valley, and a little shadowed, and even they used the light reached living expanse of water, a rippling mirror showing shimmering, and pink and gold. So many adjectives they used it, right? So in this to describing, even you can look at here, classic orange, salty sea breeze, and spraying onto light brown board walk. Okay, so these are the elements that slowly introduced about to describe a place. Now you tell me, and I'm just asking the other person to respond. It's not Vidhan. Okay, other person. Why Nabi? Why Nabi? Why Nabi? Why Nabi? Why Nabi? Why Nabi? Okay, Anas. Anas.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, tell me, Mayur.
So this is my like I had an internet issue. Did something happen?
Okay, okay. Yeah, so then Ashit. Ashit.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please tell me, what is your understanding about this para one? A
Uh,
captivating catch. Yes, first para. Yeah.
so it's trying to give a effect of the how he's trying to give imagery to the reader of how the area around the hill mountains was like.
Okay, so why they use the colors here? Because they use the brown, gold, and even they use the different colors. Like they're talking
Yeah, I
about
said
the
imagery, sir, like to help the reader understand how it feels like to be there and give more depth to the visualization.
okay. So kind of like you are creating a mood, right?
Yes,
By
sir.
using the colors and shapes and all. Okay. Now let me call the next person to read the next para. Even you can also read the comment uh, given by the examiner. This is quite polished opening, effective and quite evocative. And the last sentence is incomplete, but it's the writing written fluently with an appropriate style. So the element they're talking about that the grammatical aspect sentence, which must have the subject verb agreement to give the sensible meaning, and you have to give the thought process and ideas clearly. Okay, this is the one they're talking about, the first comment given by the examiner. Let me call the next person to read the next para. Okay, Sanvi,
Yes, sir.
yeah, please read the next para.
Palm trees swayed gently in the breeze, and I felt refreshed and exhilarated. As soon as I stepped, I could see the clear sky and the frenzied pulses sent
Ah,
out by my heart
okay,
pounded so hard at my chest. The adrenaline rush sent an electrical impulse
pulse,
swirling,
impulse, swirling.
swirling down my spine and giving me the shivers. I was breathing in a
Happiness.
haphazard
Ah,
manner, and the mesmerizing beauty completely took over my soul.
okay, now you give me what is the thought process which is connected from the previous para to this one. So what you identified from this paragraph?
The previous paragraph gave more like a visual imagery. This one gave more like how the person felt when they stepped into the place.
Okay,
Like, yeah.
it's a kind of additional details you are giving, and the begin imagery in the first para. Now you are giving the how that imagery is developing and to influence the landscape, impact of the landscape, how it look like, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, and is there any connections between these two paras or two different identities?
They're both describing like a setting, and they
Okay.
both are using like adjectives and other figures of speech to like describe the
Okay.
place.
So did you see any sort of the sensory element in the one and second paras? Any sensory element?
Yeah, they've used a couple like they've
Yeah,
used
yeah,
okay.
exactly. So they use that, like you already said something about the imaginary, right? So that imagery you just created in the para one. So it is a kind of visualizing. So you are thinking about that, how you are seeing that element by giving the colors and shapes and all. Okay.
Sir,
So let us see that the next para, and let me call the next person to read. Uh, next person, the okay, this one, uh, Ananya. Ananya,
Yeah, sir.
please read this one. This
Yeah,
para.
sir. The smooth, subtle sand, wa- waves rolling up and down, filled with brine.
Yeah.
Sir, I can't.
Mellifluous.
Yeah, mellifluous background music. It all captivated me. The waves on the shore were rolling up and down on repeat like a radio show. Every wave with its sound.
It's a snow. Radio
Sure.
show. Radio show. Radio show.
Yeah, I read that.
Every
so
Every
she
every
said
wave
with its sound.
with
every
its
way
sound.
with its
So
sound.
can
Okay,
you
just a minute. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
give
Evening.
me a new motivation? The light brown sand that
Mixed with
mixed with the water seemed like two beautiful colors are merged together. On the sides, there were shiny yellow
orange and purple colored sand too, framing the beach all together.
Altogether. Okay. Now you tell me the first two paragraphs, like Sani said, and even other, they're like, two people they said about that, the description about the setting and the place and all. So they created imagery in the elements used in the para 1 and 2. What is para 3 is basically stating about?
Yeah, sir. So this paragraph is also using the sensory element like visual, like it's painting a picture in the reader's head on
Mhm.
how the scenery is.
Okay. So, don't you think that they some of the elements are bit in general? I'm talking about that. I'm not saying that vague, but in general, you see that I'm not looking into the comment, but still you look at that there's some of the sentences they are written here. The smooth, supple sand, and it is additional details, but still it is they need to give that some evidence for that. Evidence. What is an evidence here? You look at that examiner comment also they mentioned some of the sentences that abruptly they used here. So most of the section builds the picture of the beach landscape quite effectively, though there are errors in the tense. Of course, the grammatical error, subject verb agreement is there. As a bit of you need to give that general information and the usage of the terms is bit of parrots are there. Let us say the light brown sand that mixed with the water seemed fair. They're talking about that. This is a sentence they need to rewrite. And like two beautiful colors are merged together. Okay, this sentence is they need to use that particular correction. And on the sides, there were shiny yellow, orange, and the purple colored sand too, framing the beach altogether. Okay, minor mistakes are there and the tenses uses, they need to look at that. Okay, next, let me ask the next person to read the next para. Ananya over and Ashit and Sandy. Now, let me call Saitra. Saitra,
Yeah, sir.
yeah, can you read the next para? This part.
Okay.
Wait. This para. Actually, this para. Okay, this part. Yeah, the flowing water. This is a para. Can you see my cursor?
Yeah, sir.
This para. Yeah, please read that.
The flowing water seemed to meet the endless sky over the horizon, while the water seemed of three colors: sunshine yellow, sky blue, and light brown. The magnificent scenic beauty
Beauty.
filled with
Multi-mix.
m- multi what, sorry?
Multi-nude, right? Multi-nude. Actually, even I did not understand that. Okay, multicolors. Okay, multicolors.
Multicolors left me stunned.
Actually, no. Actually, I thought he written multi-hued colors. Hued. Yeah. Okay, multi-hued
Yeah.
colors left me stunned. Okay, now you tell me what is the additional detail enhance to the previous paragraph? What he mentioned basically in this paragraph.
He's like mentioning how the water seemed to look more than like the sand and like other things.
So mostly kind of sensory elements bringing from the top, like sky, and even he also mentioned in addition to that the ground elements previously mentioned sand and beach in the previous paragraphs, right? Here you see this one more of water, more of water used many a times here, and they're talking about that the scenic filled with the multicolored, the stunned. So it means that a kind of the feeling he expressed in this particular paragraph, though it is very short paragraph. Okay, so it's a feeling by using the multicolors, and even you can also talk about that horizon. So the sky over the horizon, how it's look like the sky is blue and light brown and sunshine yellow. These three colors he just specifically mentioned about their color and color importance. Don't you feel that this paragraph is just only mentioned that they are not giving the details enough to explain? Don't you feel that? A bit of unclear,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So this paragraph need to develop, and let me call the next person to read the next para. Just a minute. What is that, Rishik? You sent some message. Is that message? Don't know. What is this? You all. Okay, okay. So then, Anaga, Anaga, Anaga. Anaga, am I audible? Anaga, Anaga. Okay. Nikit, Nihit, Nihit, Ridhima, Ridhima.
Yes, sir.
Right. Can you read this para?
Small villas like huts stood along the coastal line, strong and moody. The villas seemed to consist of floors enabling the tourist to stay. There were 10 of them, all symmetrically arranged with the same color, texture, and size of wood. The villas nearly camouflaged with the soothing sand.
Okay. Now you tell me, what is the main point discussed in this paragraph? What is the main point?
The appearance of the huts.
Appearance in the sense, and you are talking about that how they're aligning or how they're like maintaining. They use the one word here, symmetry, right? Symmetry
Yeah.
arrangement. Okay, so how they're like put it in an organized manner. Maybe the kind of the feel good kind of environment. Maybe symmetry always gives us some sort of a pleasing environment, a pleasing something happy kind of moment we are talking about that. Why? Because we already mentioned about that something about attraction for the tourists to stay there. But don't you think that these things are elements like there were 10 of them, our symmetry all symmetrically arranged with the same color, texture, and the shape of the mood. Uh, they're only giving that the symmetry. Don't you think that the elaboration of these particular details, I'm not elaboration in the sense is not a word limit, and the in-depth of the details about the symmetry, how it look like, not only the text, uh, texture, or the even the size. You can also give that this some sort of the elements related to the cultural importance, or maybe ancient historical elements. Don't you feel that you want to include about the importance of that particular structure? So they comment even if you look at very closely, they given by the examiner here, a different focus on the new paragraph as a strong and moody for the quite mundane standing the buildings seems a little unclear. Probably even that unclear, maybe my understanding is the student may include some more details about the what are the scales they mention about the symmetry and text and shape and size and texture, color. These things may be related to some sort of importance of the local or maybe place or a historical or ancient details. Definitely, maybe a chance of inclusion of this, some sort of a clarity about it. So that is mostly suggested by the examiner, whatever the comment given by the examiner here, and you need to look at that. Next one. Okay, before go to the next one, anybody have the questions so far about understanding and what we need to consider and all? No? If you don't have that, I will call the Myra to read next. Myra. Myra?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So can you see this para?
Yes, sir. The fifth one.
Yeah, please read.
The idiosyncrasy of this place was smoke. It
Yeah. Rolled
it rolled
suddenly.
sullenly in slow folds from the tiny chimney of an iron foundry, the only iron foundry. It settles down in slimy pools on the muddy beach.
Okay, yeah. Smoke on.
Smoke on the wharves, smoke on the dingy boats on the Yellow River, waiting in a greasy suit to the house front. The two faded poplars, the face of the labours.
Okay. Now you tell me. So how this particular paragraph developed and linked to the previous paragraphs?
So, it's different from the previous paragraphs because it's a bit more,
Different, right?
yeah, it's a bit more
Deviated.
odd. Yeah.
Yeah, deviated. That too, there is no connection to the previous one,
Yes, sir.
right?
It's
Yeah.
giving more detail and description.
Uh, yeah. Okay. Then even the comment also given by that examiner is talking about that the kind of writer's attitude they taken from the Charles Dickens novels. The similar kind of opening scene, how he started to drive through various stages of the plot development in the Charles Dickens, and a similar kind of approach is maybe that is a kind of the uncertainty which is altogether is taken to the different route to make it the some sort of the maybe it's not suitable or maybe some sort of a different tone or a different odd tone, something like that. So this is a chance of losing mark at this particular paragraph. Okay, so let us see that the next paragraph and even look at that. Okay, this is the paragraph and I will call the person to read now. This is over Karnal, Mayur, Sandeep, Hidima over. Mayur, Mayur, can you read the next para? This one. But all in all, Mayur.
So can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, sir. But all in all, it seemed pollution free as the smoke didn't really make
Really
its
made.
presence felt.
Yeah.
The colorful cocktails and the mocktails being served while the tourists were grooving with some music on the dance floor. Uh, girls
Girls,
generally,
gently,
what's that?
gently. Girls
Yes, sir. After
gently,
that,
gently uh, forcing, no, actually flowing their air, flowing.
oh, okay, that's a weird way of writing that.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's some
flowing their,
difficulties, yes.
yeah, flowing their head to get into the mood, whereas boys were trying so hard to, um,
Some hip hop, to do some, so hard to do
oh,
some
okay,
hip
that's
hop.
it. Okay, to do
Yes.
some hip hop. Watching this, a series of giggles bursted out.
Okay, now you tell me, what is the additional details to the previous paragraph? How the paragraph developed?
Sir, like, it suddenly changed from, the atmosphere to the, what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a sudden shift in the topic.
Yes, even it happened in the previous paragraph also. So so far they discussed anything, most of the details about the landscape
Sm
and beach and
yeah,
sand and the
smoke.
village. Yeah,
So
smoke.
till previous one, it was talking about the landscape, but then now it's talking about the people in the
Yeah.
place.
Exactly. But
And
the
there was
element
no transition, it was sudden.
exactly. So, but though it is the written that the birth year, but still it is like kind of the transition in a different altogether. It's not on the same page. Okay. So even the sentence structure, what is that examiner given that one? These last sentences are kind of the like it's not apt to this particular concept what the examiner given the comment. Okay. Now I will call the next person to read this paragraph. Okay. Niranjan,
Yes, sir.
right, please read this one.
The
Lucius.
the usual seafood smelled so strong that it seeped into one's nose, hypnotizing the people around. Time froze for a few seconds. I couldn't hear anything nor move a muscle.
Anything nor move a news. It's a different sentence. Actually, yeah. Proceed.
I couldn't hear anything nor move a muscle.
Uh,
Only my eyes cooperated with me to take a mental picture of captivating Katen.
Captivating. Yeah.
I had got with my eyes seeing the beauty. Seeing the
Okay.
beauty.
Yeah. Now you tell me. I thought almost the previous paragraphs you gone through that. How this paragraph is cohesive with the previous paragraphs? How they linked?
So like they are first talking about the landscape, then they are talking about the people around, and then now they are talking about the food they get and how they enjoyed it. He's just
Okay. So
talking his entire experience.
yeah. So they basically you thanks for that. You are stating the how they opened, how they generated the next paragraph. Now come to this stage with all together is kind of like it's a traveling like it's like it's not straight and something taking to the different directions of the topic. Is it right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now this paragraph, what is the basic details they stated here?
Food.
Basic details. How they connected with the previous paragraphs.
They're talking about the food they found in the beautiful landscape.
Okay, so previously they're talking about something about the ambience, look around their particular beach or a place. Even the second one they're talking about the building and the symmetry of the building, and now they're talking about the food. So all these are, but you need to link up like Mayur said the sudden changes. But without that sudden changes, definitely you need to make some sort of the streamline to link from one para to another para. Okay. So now a comment what examiner given here, if you can read from the right side, the style here is a bit insecure. Yes, this is the style. General, bit of vague sentences, the flap sentences they written, especially they're coming to the closer of your descriptive writing. Uh, Place now the food, but there is no like smooth transition, but at the same time, the style is a bit of generic information they provided here. Okay, last paragraph I want to ask you to read. Mm, right over. Ananya, Ashwit, Vihan, Mayur, Sandi over, Mayur over. Okay, now this side. Uh, Prasank, Prasank,
Yes, sir.
right. Can you read the last paragraph of this particular descriptive writing? Can you read this paragraph?
Yeah, oh, okay, sir. As the sun was blazing, it burned the sky into a powerful and gorgeous.
Mm.
So, what is that?
But just mix of
Gorgeous mix of amber tint and blood red. The dying sunlight soon started en enpraying the whole area, though it dedicated to burn brightly
till there is no end.
till there's no end.
Yeah. Now you tell me uh, from the beginning till this paragraph, how was the description and are these details or these paragraphs are well synchronized or not?
Uh, he was describing a lot about the surroundings and most of the story part,
Okay.
but then there was like a misunderstanding between like few paragraphs.
Okay. So it's a kind of deviations. Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
okay.
that's it.
So yeah. What about the last paragraph? How they conclude and
So
what is
like
the
he
details they provided in this paragraph?
so he concluded by like talking about the sun, the sky outside, and what was happening, and says that there's no end to it.
Yeah. Now, coming to this particular paragraph comment, examiner written here, candidate commendably attempts an ambitious ending. The piece, and although inconsistent, that is what we talked about that. Like you said, something less, and is often engaging and sometimes effective. Sometimes it's not like a great. So these are the command terms you can look at that. Sometimes effective, often engaged, although inconsistent. These three, you just look at that very carefully about the content and structure. He scored 11 because mostly, like you said, the description, most of the paragraphs developed there. So for that, he scored 11 for 16. Coming to the next one, we are talking about style and accuracy, almost 13. So 11 marks, 11 marks he lost for this particular section. 13 out of 24. Together, 11 plus 13 is 24 for 40 he scored. So it's a kind of, he stands between C and D. C and D. Okay. Now, anybody have any questions before going to the higher student sample, higher grade? Anybody have any questions? No questions?
Yes,
No. Then let me project the higher band now. Just a minute. Okay. This is a higher with a different question. Okay. Now you look at it. This descriptive writing describe the other contestants in a competition before and after the winner has won. This is the situation they given. You have no other clues. You need to develop your descriptive writing here. So now I will call another person to read. This is a different exercise, different student sample. Okay. Hmm. Here. Okay. Rishik.
sir.
Yeah. Could you please read this first paragraph of the second exercise?
Sir, I'm actually eating. Can you
Huh?
give the chance to someone else?
What?
I'm actually eating right now. Can you give the chance to someone else?
Eating.
Sir?
What is this, man? You have to do that. You are always telling something escapism, nothing else. In the class also, you are doing this something. Okay, just leave it and I will ask the other person. Oh, then Arnaz. 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 Anaga. 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 Vainavi. Anaga and Vainavi. Okay, I will. What is the point you have to stay here? I'm just making them to. Yes, I will put absent for that. Anaga. What is the point? They're attending here without respond, and I will put that finally. Finally, those who are not responding, I will put the absent. Nihit, 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 Tejasvi, Tejasvi. Tejasvi, this is the reason we are seeing that what kind of results we are getting. Simply they are just logged in and they're just doing. That is there enough not to open your cameras, no? So you are doing something else, but you are showing that you are present at the class. What for? Akil, Akil Anchuri. Akil Anchuri.
But he's not in the meeting.
There. Then I will call another person to answer now. Yeah. Arnaz? Arnaz, please respond now. Arnaz? Okay, Tejasvi, can you start reading now? This para, first one. Read the
Sir,
first para.
can I now?
Who
Sir,
is this?
Rishik, sir.
Yeah, please read now.
Can you zoom in a little bit, sir?
There.
Can you tell me the first word? I can't read this font properly.
Anticipation.
Anticipation filled the air as okay, that's blurred.
I and other two.
Sir,
I and other two
I and
contestants.
other two, okay, yeah. I and other two contestants
Contestants.
waited for the judge's verdict. Each contestant was different, but at what time, sir?
Each contestant was different,
It's
but
getting difficult for me to study, sir.
at the same time.
At the same time, okay. At the
Hmm.
same time,
So
so
similar.
similar. Yeah.
Hmm.
So similar, I stood up straight, my back arched, and my posture perfect. We
Hmm.
had just finished a slam dunk.
Hmm.
Contest filled with jaw dropping and what is that, sir?
Jaw dropping and all inspiring dunks. Inspiring.
Inspiring drunks. We had each taken a turn to slam a basketball into the hoop in the most creative way possible. The objective was not to just to show creativity, but also to show our I can't read
Authentic.
the last one, sir.
Athleticism.
Athleticism. Okay, all right.
Okay, now you tell me what you understand about this paragraph. This is a different exercise, different student sample to the previous one. What do you understand about this paragraph?
Wait.
Did you read the question? This question is clearly stated here. Read the question. Describe other contestants in a
in the
competition
competition
before
before and
and
after
after,
the
and
winner
the
has won.
winner has won. This is the only situation. Now, the what
Okay.
kind of competition, what kind of contestants, and they're talking about that the competition at the element what the student inclusion. So up to you. Here, there is no specific competition. That competition you may connect it with the sport or maybe some sort of the quiz program or any field depends upon how you are going to bring your descriptive writing into during that particular examination within 2 hours of time. Okay, now basically what you understand about here.
Here, they were really interested about the competition.
Okay, yeah, the competition is definitely is a challenging. Yeah, and if you don't mind, and you just look at here something, they started with anticipation filled with a I and other two contestants waited for the judge's verdict. So this sentence is opening sentence is directly given because they're not giving anything like beating around the bush. Straight away they come to the point. This is the first and foremost thing. Now, what is the judge's verdict? We don't know that. It's just they're eagerly waiting.
They're
Each
just waiting
contestant
for it.
was,
Okay.
yes, each contestant was different, but at the same time, so similar because they are competing for the something and some cause or commonality among them, and but individually they are different, right? This is the sentence he's talking about that. I stood up straight and make my back arch, and the posture was perfect. So is confident enough to say they're eagerly
He
waiting
was
for the result.
confident enough that so they
Uh,
described about it like he stood up
yes,
straight.
Yeah. So one more additional detail also you mentioned about that. I stood up straight. Okay, this is the element. Then one more element here. We had just finished a slam dunk and the contest. Contest filled with jaw-dropping and awe-inspiring dunks. So they're talking about that how the close call and how the competition was among these participants, because he mentioned I and other two. So three people were there, probably even more. So those details we need to look at that. Those details you need to look at that, how the competition level and all. So if you look at the closely this paragraph, how the details are written by this particular student, uh, kind of the creation of the details without having any sort of the hesitation, putting the things straight, and it's not like the something the details around the bush, beating around the bush, and directly just bringing the things to the audience, whoever it is, they engaging that audience for this particular exercise. Okay, so this is the basic information, but we are not seeing similar kind of description in the previous exercise, previous student sample. So even the examiner comment also they mentioned here, candidates sets seen in a fair and straightforward way with accurate and a controlled style. Yes, because you just use the sentences are refined and polished, and those sentences are clear and accurately they're stating about it. Okay,
So
let
the
me
scene
ask.
says that the scene
Uh,
was set in a more straightforward way.
exactly, exactly. Okay, next one. Let me call the next person to read. Just a minute. I will call this one. Analysis, that's a song. Okay, so these people are here. Okay, Myra. Myra, I will call again. You speak slowly. Why they are not responding and you just ignore them.
Yes, sir.
Right, Myra, can you please read the next paragraph?
Okay, so from I stood, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay. I stood in the middle between the other two finalists.
Hmm.
To my right stood a boy roughly 2 years older and 6 inches taller than me. His face showed exhaustion, and he kept adjusting his hair to keep it out of his hazel colored eyes.
Hmm.
His nose was slightly crooked, and he was completely clean shaven. He was tall and lanky, but also incredibly athletic. He wore a
Hmm.
purple and gold jersey that was 3 sizes too large,
Hmm.
along with matching shorts. He sported large and thick basketball shoes, which were so long that they covered up his socks, if he was wearing any. He panted heavily, but also looked eagerly at the judge.
Hmm. Okay, so here, probably we just try to connect with the previous paragraph and this paragraph. So how this particular sample is developed from the first paragraph to this paragraph? How they developed? What is the details you identify from this paragraph, Maida?
So, in this paragraph, there are many like descriptions about one particular boy.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah,
Yeah,
and mostly even they're also roughly 2 years older and this kind of like comparison. So mostly compared, right? So
yes,
I stood in the middle and between the two other finalists. To my right stood a boy, roughly 2 years older, and 6 inches is taller. So he's talking about the age, approximate age, and even the size, like how tall he is, and that is what we comparing. And even if you look at that, his face showed exhaustion, and he kept adjusting his hair to keep it out of his hazel colored eyes. So he described his age style, he described his personality, how it looked like, how tall he is, and then how even the colored of eyes, right? He says, given the description kind of the a natural flow. It's not like there's something we are bringing into the artificial way to describe. So he described it so naturally. Okay, next one. His nose was slightly crooked and he was completely clean shaved. So he's also showing what is the contour of his facial expressions and facial gestures and how it shaped up. And even he's also talking about that the hygienic of the personality, how it looked like, right? So it's a kind of a picture description. It's not like something taken from the borrowed words and the artificial description. This is a kind of nature flow is continue to describe the personality with the contestant, how it look like the athlete. So the same scale and even the personality, appearance, and all is just describing it here. Okay, he was tall. Was that lanky, but also incredibly athletic. He wore a purple and gold jersey. So you mentioned the color, the thought, personality, and all these details we mentioned in the previous sentences. Now we're talking about the purple and the gold jersey. That was three sizes too large. Three sizes too large. Uh, this was the one of the evidences extension to this particular 6 inches taller. 6 inches, right? So 6 inches taller, and the size also is matters here. Too long. That is one of the evidences he's putting here. Then he, along with the matching shorts, and he spotted large thick basketball shoes, which were so long that they covered up his uh, socks, and he was wearing any. So probably, so such a tall personality, even it looks like this scale, how big it is, how gigantic and how tall it is. All is just elaborating with the additional details put in a right track by providing the evidences to describe. And last sentence here, he uh, chanted heavily, but also looked eagerly at the judge. The sentence already connected at the beginning. They are eagerly waiting. At the first sentence itself is that looking for the eagerly waiting for the verdict of the judge. Now the same thing is continued here and the linking to the previous paragraph, right? Even what is this written? Description is mostly factual, but builds a detailed and a realistic image. Yes, it's a quite natural. Now, let me call the person to read the next paragraph. Okay. Uh, uh, so Myra over and even Rishik over. Now I may be calling the okay Arnas. Okay. So then I will call the other person. Ananya. Ananya,
Yeah, sir.
now please read the next paragraph, my dear.
Yes, sir.
To my
The
left.
to my left, right? To my
Yes.
left stood the other boy. He had a
After.
darker skin tone and was
Uh,
only a little bit taller than me. He seemed calm and
mm,
laid back. He looked down at the ground,
mm,
engrossed in his own thoughts. He had dark brown eyes and a small nose.
okay.
He
Yeah. One second. Yeah.
he used his lips
Uh,
and
rocked his head.
and rocked his head back and forth to some song playing in his head.
Mm,
His hair was covered by a plain black hoodie with a zipper pulled all the way up. It came as a surprise that the scorching sun had not already
Fine. Pink. 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 What is that? Okay. Signed, I believe. Okay. Already signed a role into.
already signed a hole into the back of his head.
Mm,
He wore
but
he wore sweatpants and neon orange shoes.
okay. You may be seeing this one. This is a different personality. So, what you identify from this paragraph, basically, what you identify?
Yeah, sir. So he's basically the writer is basically describing the appearance of another contestant in the competition,
Mhm. Okay.
and
Yeah.
like painting an image in the reader's head on how the person looks
Yes.
and
Uh,
his
yeah. Please.
yeah.
Yeah. So don't you feel that you are traveling from the introduction to the previous paragraph and this paragraph? So don't you think that the writer is made us to drive like, on my right, on my left, this is a personality, this is a personality, like he's just made us to describe, made us to understand the describing the personality one after another. It's not like the mixing, right?
Yeah.
Don't you feel that the focus is very, very clear organizing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is no confusion at all. But previously, previous sample was totally like, kind of the transition. We are not able to understand that one, what is the connection between the paragraphs from the one to another flow, right?
Yeah.
This is the one. Okay. So here they also maybe some sort of the common features he described in the previous paragraph and this paragraph, like the darkened skin and the age style, how, but even the behavior also he mentioned in this paragraph. He seemed calm and they laid something. He's playing some song and he just nodding his head and maybe some song is in his mind in his head, something is going on, and he just maybe be humming himself, or maybe doing something. That is the one additional detail he mentioned here. And one more element also you can see that he had a dark brown eyes and small nose. Earlier in the previous paragraph also he mentioned features of their facial features, how the personality looks like. Here also mentioned, but the complexity between previous para this para is totally different altogether, right? So now look at the next lines of this para. Here, his hair was covered by uh, some what is that, a black hoodie. So maybe the hoodie they covered, and then with the ribbon, whatever it is, the way up and down and is doing, and a surprise to scorching sun. Maybe this is a really surprise to him because he covered his head with a hoodie, and the other side is a scorching sun. So some kind of warm outside. So, but that made some sort of the surprising element for this writer, and he wore sweatpants and the neon orange shoes. So, description about the how the personality looked like and how the contestants wore was wearing the dresses and the colors and all these details. It's a kind of the element of description smoothly drive us towards the uh, first contestant and second contestants. Okay. So now look at the comment of the examiner here. Another pen portrait of a contestant and some closely observed details is provided. And although it is lacks emotional impact on engaged reader, the style is accurate and precise. So maybe the impact of the engaging readers. Definitely some similar commonality are there, but still he just provided the how the reality is in front of his eyes, and the same thing put it on paper. So we can also assume in the same way. Okay. Now let us go through the next text, paragraph. Okay. Now I will call the other person to read this one. Ananya over, and Myra over, and Rishik is over. Then I may call this one. Vihan. Vihan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, could you please read the next paragraph?
From where?
Yeah, this is the point you need to. Can you see the screen now? The
Yes,
judge,
sir.
yeah, the judge,
Okay.
yeah,
The judge stood in front of a table. He
clutch,
he
clutch.
he
Mm.
he clutched a clipboard and examined it carefully with one
Oh,
hand.
yeah,
The other hand was wrapped around a microphone.
okay.
His short sleeves exposed two visible tan lines on his arms.
Mm.
He brought the microphone towards his mouth and switched it on.
Deepening,
Hmm.
screeching sound,
So what's the second word?
screeching. This
So
one you are
before
talking.
that,
A deafening screeching sound.
a deafening screeching sound filled the gymnasium, calling everybody to cover their ears and cringe. After this had stopped, the judge began, and the winner is the anticipation in our
In their head,
the anticipation in their
head,
in the air
turn
turned
into,
into attention.
yeah.
As the boy to my right faced upwards with his eyes closed and fingers crossed.
Okay, hold on here. See, this is a point you need to understand, many of you. Here, he mentioned the sentence like this. After they had stopped, the judge began, and then he kept in the double quotes. And the winner is. This is the way you have to. The same thing you are just doing for the narrative writing. But this is absolutely descriptive writing. But you are describing like how the character behaving. The same thing you can use it. Okay? But you have to use that narrative element as it is in your descriptive writing, but don't give that throughout your narrative part in the descriptive writing. So that is what you need to understand. Okay. Now, Vihan, tell me what you understand from this paragraph. What you understand from this paragraph?
So it was explaining the judge, and then after it was explaining like what happened in the gymnasium, like the tensions.
Yeah. So even you can see that in the previous paragraphs, like two contestants' appearance, how they look like, how their personality, how their attire, and all these things are described, right? Here
Yeah.
also you can see this one, and the judge stood in front of the table. He clutched a clipboard and examined carefully with one hand. He's talking about that working conditions, working positions, like with one hand, and he's just bringing the microphone to nearer to the mouth, and he turned it on. Okay, so even they're also talking about that his short sleeves exposed to visible tan lines. So short sleeves, visible tan lines, maybe the which is exposure to sunlight. You know that many athletes are staying outside during the sunlight. So because of the excess of sunlight exposed to the body, that where you can see that the exposed area, kind of a tan or whatever you may talk about that. So those lines clearly indicated about that what is the the working condition of that particular judge and how he's experienced, how long he's just doing these kind of things, also indirectly stating that. One more element. He brought the microphone towards his mouth and fixed it down. A deafening and the screeching sound filled with the gymnasium, causing everything to cover their ears and rims. So maybe the muscular personality and how he's doing that, the kind of exercises, we can talk about that. All these just he described about that personality, not only the contestants. Here we are talking about the judge personality, how it look like. This is what he's talking about that. But actually, question was contestants during, sorry, the before and after the win. So these things are just bringing into that particular journey as a description part. Now, and as the boy to my right faced upwards, that he bring the feelings of that sensory element, feelings, the faced upward with his eyes closed and the fingers crossed. So eyes closed and fingers. So kind of emotions he brought into these particular discussions, how the person is look like. It is again coming to the right face. As a boy to my right face that is specified the personality. He already described in the previous paragraph. Now he is connected with that personality, how the people are emotively behaving, and what kind of tensions, what kind of emotions, what is the feeling they have inside. All these things he extended here. Let us see this examiner comment in this. A little more evocation atmosphere here, especially towards the end of the paragraph. Yes, this is what they are talking about. That these are the elements, because in previous paragraph we discussed about some lack of emotions. Now that emotion brought into this paragraph. Maybe this is a kind of a good technique and to enhance the ability of discussion and description through this paragraph, where it is missed out and they are brought into the next paragraph. Okay, this is a good way to connecting. Next para, yeah, next and the last para. Let me call the person to read. Anybody wants to read now, or else can I call?
So may I?
Yeah, please read.
Yeah. Aaron, the judge exclaimed. The gymnasium
Yes.
erupted. The
Yeah.
boy to my left lumbered over, relatively unfazed by the big announcement. He displayed a light grin as he held up his new trophy. The boy to my right seemed on the verge of tears. As for me, I
Smile.
I smiled and congratulated the winner.
Yeah, I smiled and yes, exactly. So it's a you just understand that this paragraph. Uh, in the previous paragraph, he mentioned to my right, and this one they are talking about that to my left and that left because the question is justified contestants before and after, and that too you mentioned I and other two contestants. He just only fit into that particular three contestants description only. He did not go beyond that, like unless previous exercise and previous sample was totally deviated and slightly driven us to in a different way. Completely our image was totally diverted from the actual beginning to the at the end. But this one, how do you define this one, this paragraph as a conclusion? Niranjan, Niranjan,
Yes, sir.
yeah, please tell me, how did you conclude this one, this paragraph in this particular exercise?
Sir, in this one, like first in the start, he was talking about the competition, and then now they participated in that and the finalists. And then later on, when it comes to the last paragraph, it comes to the time when they announce the winner, and it tells the feelings of all three finalists about their achievements or everything. Yeah.
Okay, so achievement. See, did you identify what is the difference between from the previous sample to this sample?
So this is more cohesive, like basically it has a better sequence and flow than the previous one.
Yeah, so there is better sequence and flow, and even there is no deviations at all to the point and to the like the app to that the straight to the our conclusion. It's nothing hidden and nothing is turned this way and that way. So totally straight to that. That's the one thing. Second thing also, this sample containing lots of like organizing the details one after another. All these are well connected and using the simple and the even the substantial sentences for all levels of the paragraph. Now you look at that. What is the score for this one? Some used varied sentences structures creating specific effects used. Okay, we agree with that. A cohesive and a realistic overall picture is created. Yes, that is also we understood that. Candidate organizes and the paragraph securely. Yes, but previously insecure and inconsistent throughout the answer. This one is consistent throughout that. Now you have to look at here. Um, marks for the content and the structure is 13 for 16. It's a yeah, it's a good score only. But in fact, this is I thought the 8-8. So maybe you score something 7 and 6. Yeah, content maybe got something like 6 and the structure maybe 8. So together is 13. Okay, sorry, 7 and 8. Okay, this one is style and accuracy. They're talking about here 21. This is a good number of marks scored here. Almost 336 lost. Okay, so this is a good number. 34 is a good number actually. Okay, so this document I'm going to share in Teams tonight and maybe tomorrow. So please go through it, and based on this kind of sample, you may practice the several exercises. Both paper one and paper two I'm going to share. You look at that the candidate's response, and accordingly you can practice it. Okay. So anybody have any questions?
No, sir.
No. So then, if you don't have any questions, then you can log out and have a great day. Hope you
Thanks, sir.
have no classes further, right?
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Then have a great day. See you in the next class.